Hi guys, you're in the right place if you want to learn how to sketch by understanding what you're looking at rather than breaking things down into shapes. And today we're going to be working on this Brewer's Sparrow. And a big thank you to Sherry Keaton for letting me use her gorgeous photo as our reference today. So you need your scrap piece of paper and a pen that you like. I'm going to use this blue one because it's kind of like fine point. And what we're going to be doing is just making these little marks like this to put the bars in on the forehead and around the face. So if you have a pen that's going to cooperate and not drop a lot of ink and stuff, that would be perfect because there's not like a whole bunch of like shading and heavy stuff that we need to do today. So this guy is a heck of a lot trickier than he looks. I've really, yeah, this is an advanced tutorial, so there, be warned. Let's just see how it goes. So what we want to have when we're done, if we can pull it off, is this nice tilt downward of the head toward us, and he's got his chest sort of facing away from us. So this really sweet kind of angled head. And what we'll do is just start. Oh, so on your paper you need more space this way, up and down rather than wide. So we'll just start at the top of his bill, and we'll just do a little bit for the forehead and back the flat part of his head here, and then we've got quite the dome with the curvature of his head. Go down, and the bill is quite tilted down. See how big this angle is here. And he is a sparrow, so he does have quite a thick bill. And then we'll just get some of these markings in around his face. And you know, this is a tricky one, okay? So just do what you can and see how it goes. But what I'd like you to try to do is just follow some of the markings. We've got these bars that go up along his head. Some of them are thicker than others, typical of a sparrow. And we can just get a little bit of these markings down without committing to their position, because if we need to alter things, like move them around a little bit later, because we want to change the curvature of the head, we'll have the opportunity to do that. Now his eye is quite a teardrop because of the tilt of his head, so and get that in. And leave the white right here. It's hard for you guys to see in the reference photo, but there is a little bit of reflected light off the eyeball right there. And you know, we just want to try our best to have like a good sense that he's got his head tilted down and toward us. See, he's got quite an eye ring, so I'll just make sure that we've got that in as well. And then this bar that comes off the back of his eye. Is what we want to make sure, because that, you know, it curves up, and then this is going into the back of his neck. So these are all the markings that kind of show us that he's got a real tilt and stuff to his head, angled down and toward us. But don't worry too much about the markings that you're making with your pen, because I think really today's focus has to really try to be on capturing the proper angle of the head, a good angle through the body, and the tilt at the back of the neck. You know what I mean. Okay, so see this collar that he's got? This is due to his, there is distinction between the head feathers and the body, but also he's got these feathers are squished up against each other. So see that the top, where the end of the collar here is about bumping into some of the bill. So we want to make sure that we finish up here. So we can just work this collar in a nice angle. If it needs to be higher, we can always move it later. But it just helps us make sure that we've got the proper sort of tilt to his head. Oh, look, is my pen black? Doesn't seem to be blotchy. Might be. I don't really like that. Now let's do this curve. This is like his shoulder coming out quite a little bit there. And we're going to go down. And then this goes into the tummy. Well, that's enough of that. Because we want to, we might be changing this angle later. So here, this is his back. And see how if we take his bill and go straight down, this big portion of the wing is to the left of the bill. So when you're doing the wing, make sure that wherever you've put the bill, you're going to have these markings to the left of it. And this is also going to help sort of show the twist of his body. So I just want to do this feather here and these brown tips. This guy is super tricky, you know, so please be easy on yourself. I could show you my trash can with all the deleted videos that I've tried with this guy. When I first saw the photo, I thought, oh, like he's so sweet. This is a great, he'd be great for a lesson on angles. And I messaged Shirley and she said yes. I was so happy. I thought, oh, okay, I'm just going to hurry and do a quick little sketch, see how he turns out. It's a bloody disaster. So, yeah, I have to say I've had so much trouble with this guy. Okay, enough of my whining. So the back, there's a little bit of the back here, and then we get into the wing. And this is one set of feathers. Like the top layer of feathers in the wing. And then we have another layer. So I know they'll have a technical, proper scientific name. I don't know what it is. And these are brown borders to the flight feathers. Okay, I don't actually want to commit to finishing off the wing, I think, just yet, because I might have to push it down a little bit more. Okay, so let's see. Do you like your angle here with the chest? And then his tummy? And see how the bottom of his tummy here, it comes about here on the wing. So don't take him down too far. He is a little sparrow after all. And then we've got some fluffy feathers under his tummy. And then we bump into the leg. And here we've got the feathers under the tail, the rump feathers. I shouldn't be doing a little V, but you know what, it just kind of helps with the positioning for me. Okay, now we can finish the wing. Just take these up a little bit. Staggered, like that. Staggered there, staggered there. These guys should be a bit longer. This guy should be a bit heavier. And then we've got a bit of shading here. This is shadow. It's the shadow that we should have here for the tail rather than a harsh line for the rump feathers, as they are lighter. So let's just shade in underneath his tail. And then we've got some darker rump feathers here. Just a few. And this is all nice and tan. And then we've got, this is shadow here, where the wing is, and the wing is making a shadow between itself and the curve of his body. So we just lightly shade in this part. Turn your page if you need to. Okay, now we're not going to do this, so we'll take the tail all the way down. So how about, let's see if we can position his legs. So see where, if we look in relation to his eye, okay, I've got too much of an angle. So once again, we're early at the point where we've got to do, man, what's right for the sketch rather than the reference photo. We'll take his leg. This has a little bit of length to it. And then some bumps for his foot. And then the curve of this toe on the branch. This outer toe is shorter. Middle toe is the longest one, with a pad right here. A little bit of a knuckle, and the claw coming off the top of the toe. It's a bit of a knuckle, and then this inner toe. Is so focused on angles that I've made like a monster angle. Okay, and while we're here, we might as well just do some features on the toes. Not a lot, but just to sort of make it enough to distinguish it from the branch that we're going to be shading underneath the foot. Okay, now if we move along on his tummy about here, this is leading into his back toe that is curving back around the branch. Can't actually see, so it's a little bit tricky. So let's just put in, this is going to be his foot, and then this is his inner toe. And then we've got the long middle toe. You can see a little bit more of because of the angle. And I have the claw come off the top of the toe, and then the outer toe here, we know it's kind of short. Oops, so I'm going to bring it into his body. It's kind of hidden, and we can see some of the claw there. We'll just like add some markings to the toe a little bit. Even though this is very tricky with the shading and the angle and stuff like that here, but that's okay. So how about we put in the branch, because we'll just have this branch catching the tip of this toe here, and then the branch is thick. We don't have too much of an overhang here, not that it matters, but just bring your branch down past that toe. Now here, most of his foot is on the, we're going to curve this down. What do we want to do? We want to have his foot going on that, and we're going to make this another bit of a stump instead. Like right here, because we can figure out his tail a bit better if we don't have the stump in the way. Okay. So much for focusing on the bird. Okay, now let's go back to, we might as well just do a little bit on the tail while we're here and see how some of these feathers do have the dark brown. And as far as the length of the tail goes, we're gonna guess. But we can make an educated guess because sparrows do kind of have longer tails. And let's just shade some of this in a little bit. And we can put some borders for the feathers. See, isn't this guy like as tricky as anything that we've done? Completely screwed up the angle of the head, which is disappointing, but not surprising. Okay, so now let's just get to work and start fixing them up. So we can go back and choose a spot, start just doing some shading, and I think what I want to do, yep, there I go, working upside down again. Just bringing out the features a little bit more. I'm going to see if I can fix the angle to his head, or if it's completely too late. Good, but these bars and stripes on the head are very important and very distinct, so we want to make sure that we've got those. It's just a matter of settling down, concentrating, and doing the best we can. But it does suck that I've screwed up this angle too much. That's what happens when, you know, it's been 4 weeks since I've done a video. I couldn't believe it had been that long, but I've just been busy and having to do a bunch of other things, life. So anyway, this is just a way of me saying that I've missed you guys. And I just want to see if I can improve, just start shading and fixing up his head and getting him to look more the way I want him to look. I said we weren't going to be doing much shading with her. How do I want to... But now, I mean, just getting a bit more contrast into his, like with his features, I think would be smart. Sorry, I keep moving my paper around, but at this point, you shouldn't be really looking at too much of what I'm doing. Let's finish his cheek here. So we do have some different contours, or changes in the feathers. And the coloring around his cheek patch. And then this white is so distinct. Make sure we have that. It's just about taking our time. And working away on him. Can you add a point to his bill very carefully with your pen? Well, I told you he was going to be tricky. So, full points for honesty, right? Let's shade in very, very lightly just to start shading in a little bit on his head, because we want to distinguish the tan from the white. Not a lot. We want to make sure that we still have, his lighter markings. And then some of the gray. so much for me making all these little short little marks with my pen. If I go ahead and end up shading them all in anyway. And then we have some shading with the curve of his body here on his tummy. And there is a difference in the color of the feathers as well. We can just put, he does have a lighter patch here. If we just give him a little bit of contour, it should help. And then usually it's where his leg is, a little bit darker in the because it's shaded by his body. Just choose a patch in your sketch where you just want to have more definition. Don't go to town though, because if you make it too dark in one area, then that's going to affect everything that you've done. And then you're going to have to go back over your previous and make that like even darker to have more contrast. So just, I don't know, this guy's like been a super tricky one. I just feel like we're pulling a rabbit out of a hat if we can end up with something that's good enough for the kitchen wall. At least we're hanging out together. So that's a win. Oh, you know what? I've made it that too dark at the top. I don't like the way that looks. Trying to add some shading on the underside of the toe. That's going to be in the, I don't know, I don't want to say in the dark, but anyway, the top part of the toe is going to be catching the light. So I don't want to shade the top part of the toe. And the branch is going to be darker under his body and where the branch curves away. And for these knots in the tree, in the branch, you can just curve your markings around to show where the wood has grown in a curve, and then bust it off. just shade the branch, not the toe, so that it looks like the toe is actually in relief. For the tail, let's just go and add a couple of the borders for some of the feathers, and a bit of the shading. It's hard because this is foliage right here. I don't think the tail has too much of a flare to it. But it is typical where some of the tips of the feathers have dark markings. Okay, and then the rump feathers. Let's add a little bit more shading there. Have some distinction, just a little bit. Break this line up a little bit. I want to have the wing feathers more defined against the tail. Oh, sucks that his leg is too dark, among other things. Okay, let's just keep moving up the body. This is a little bit of shadow here. I've got some fluffiness coming off his body. And the shadow where his leg is going into his body there. Let's just add a little bit of shading under his tummy. And definitely turn your page if it's easier to get that kind of angle that you need on your pen, to just add a little bit of shading through there, through the upper chest and the shoulder and stuff. There is slight variation in his feathers along the chest. Not much, but some sparrows are very heavily marked. Maybe we should have tried one of them. Okay, let's get the curve of his chest, and then these upper feathers seem to be a little bit more grayish. We can at least do that to him. It's so hard sometimes just to... It's working in pen, but anyway, just making us think. Yeah, I've got way too much angle the curvature of his head, but that's okay. So just shade his chest a little bit. It's okay. It doesn't matter how it's looking, really. It's more about understanding where the light is, where the main features are, where his body's curving, where the leg is. I've made his wing too fat here, but, and then we'll just work more on, and pick your pen up when you're doing these shadings. Oops, sorry, that's me hitting the stool. Like for his bars, because you want to make sure that they are looking more like bars. This white, I'm not keen on what I've done with this white patch. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller because mine's too big. And this is more like coming off his cheek. And then we've got the gray turning on this base of the neck to the back of the neck. So for the bars itself, I'm going to be a bit more, I want to just fix up his eye ring a little bit, which I've made too big, but anyway, there's, among other things, and just some variation in tone at the back of his eye. I'm going to leave this white. This white goes all the way back, and I'm just shading it in, which is crappy. I just want to like add a little bit of the tan. Well, I have to say, based on how he looked 20 minutes ago, I'm shocked, because he's like not that bad. So now I just want to have better more variation in the tone of the feathers between his upper chest and his lower chest, his abdomen. Oh, come on. The high-tech equipment. It was shading nicely a minute ago. If I press too hard, I'm going to get it like a great big blotch. Let's see how the feathers off the top of the wing here are a little bit darker, so I just want to have that in there and get more curvature from his collar. Oh, that would be grand if I keep hitting the camera with my head. I'm so thick-headed I can't even feel it. A little bit more shading under his tummy here. Be careful to stay away from the rump feathers. Coming off his chest. This actually comes down a little bit further. If you have a bird book and you look up sparrows, you'll see that there's like 400 varieties. Streaked breast, plain breast, and all these different tiny variations in the markings. It's just very, very challenging trying to identify them. So I used Google Lens on Shirley's photo to see what kind of sparrow this was, and a Brewer sparrow is what came up. So that's what I'm going with. I've kind of lost the definition in the collar here. So I just want to go back and make this a tad darker so that it actually helps to show the curvature. What I want to make these bars have a more contrast. Because with any sparrow, it's definitely the bars on the head that are key features that are like super important. Have I got mixed up here? Probably. I have got mixed up. Let's just check this one. This is the one close to his eye. And then there's some very, like, even these small bars here. It's all important. And you know what we could do? If you like your angle that you've done here off the nose, the flat at the top of the head and the curve, then just go over that border and give them another bar along that. To help with the tilt of his head. I think I feel like I've screwed up. Don't answer that. With the way his bars of his face are. Okay, this one comes up. See, this stuff is just like so hard for my brain to figure out. Okay, we come up past the eye. Could give this a bit more of a curve. And up to the back, but not all the way. And then there's this one that I've made too long. And then there's this one that I need to emphasize a bit more. And all this is a bit tan. Let's shade in. Oops. It's all right. I want to clean up in front of his bill. And take this dark patch into his eye. I'm so grateful for your company. You have no idea. Because I know you're suffering terribly along with me. Oh. What do I want to do? I just want to clean this up a little bit. I'm sorry for working upside down. I have to tell you, I'm working on a commission right now, and you wouldn't believe how much of the picture I'm doing upside down. Like, what is it with my, well, who cares, right? Whatever works for your brain, that's what you got to do. Like, whatever, however it makes sense. But it does kind of make me laugh that so much, well, I shouldn't say so much, it's not like 80% of the work is upside down, but it's just amusing to me how much of it is upside down. Okay, and then I just want to like darken this a little bit. No joke, I was thinking that we should do a video where the entire video is done upside down just to see how we do. Because, you know, like we're focusing on understanding what we're looking at and all that kind of stuff. A chest is a chest, whether it's right side up or upside down. That's years in the making, you guys, so don't worry. Okay, well, I have to say I feel a lot better about him now than I did. Oh, you know what? Do you have a border here for this cheek patch? Just distinguish this a little bit, okay? Yeah, I'm totally feeling a lot better about this guy than I was 20 minutes ago. Okay, let's sit up straight, stop slouching, get the glare off the page. Any final corrections? Have you ended up with something that is worth putting on the refrigerator? If you have, I'm super proud of you. I'm super proud of you even if you haven't. How come this toe is so thin? What have I done? After saying don't shade the top of the toe, I better leave that alone. I'm losing the definition here. Do what I say, not what I do. This whole thing is really awkward with his foot and the shading of his foot behind. You know what we could do is just darken a little bit on his tummy where those feathers are bumping up against his foot. So, actually, well, you know, I'm just messing around. I'm so bummed. Why did I do that so dark? Maybe I can sort of tone it down a little bit with a bit of shading. Or not. It's just going to end up making it worse. I'd love to see your work. I always say that, but nobody ever sends me anything. So, why don't you be the first? I'm just sticking around. And I've screwed up his wing, among other things. So see how I have his wing too thick here. These should have ended a little higher up. But actually, compared to how he started out, as usual, a little touch and go there. Anyway, I think he's like not too bad. I don't know if I'll tell Shirley, because he sure doesn't look too much like her beautiful reference photo. And that's the thing that's always a little bit nerve-wracking, eh? You don't want to do a crappy job on somebody's beautiful photo. Okay, well, I have to stop, because then I got to take the thumbnail photo, and I can't lie by working on the picture after I've turned off the camera. No cheating. This comes in. There's just a little bit of shading under his bill. Not much. I think this is basically the best we can do. Okay, you guys. As usual, I'm very, very grateful for your company. I'm so sorry that it's been 4 weeks since I've had a chance to do a video and spend time with you. But now I'm back on track, and will be showing up in your inbox on a more regular basis. We're getting into the winter season, and things are kind of like getting into winter mode. I was transitioning from summer to winter. Oh, okay, my kid's home. Time to go. Thanks so much for your company. Please send me pictures of your work so I don't feel so lonely, and we'll see you next time.